Sujata ma'am. Yeah, unmute ma'am.
So,
Welcome.
hello.
Professor Olesya ma'am, Sujata ma'am is the coordinator from Alagappa University. And we'll begin the session in a minute. Actually, Ananya, are you there? Ananya?
Hi, sir. I'm here.
Yes, you can do the MC.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Yes. So there are a few of them are on the way. I will admit them. We are expecting around 400 members today.
I think we can wait for 5 minutes and start.
Another 2 minutes, yes.
So yes, we can wait if you need some time to join any other colleagues. I can wait for 5 minutes. Okay.
Thank you.
இன்னொரு வாட்ஸ்அப் ஐடி அவர் பேசுறது கேட்கலம்மா. Hello?
Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, sir. Okay.
A very good evening, one and all. Today we are going to have one of the important person from Russia and the renowned clinical psychologist and professor from Professor Olesya Volkova. When we approached her for that webinar, Madam gracious to accept our invitation, and today with us, she is going to share her experience with us. On behalf of the Department of Special Education and the Department of Psychology, Alagappa University and American College, I welcome you, ma'am. And I welcome the head of the department and principal, Dr. Sujata Malini, ma'am, for this program. And I welcome all the participants over here for this second day webinar series on to promote mental health well-being during the COVID-19. I welcome you all. I'm happy to introduce the resource person now. Just dear friends, today's speaker is he's a clinical psychologist, and he's a doctor of psychology and associate professor of Krasnoyarsk State Medical University. I think, ma'am, I pronounced correctly. If I'm wrong, please excuse me. And she is a professor of Department of Clinical Psychology and Psychotherapy, and she is a practical and non-drug psychotherapist. Ma'am, I welcome you for this session. Please take over the session and proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, dear colleagues. It's a very big impression for me, and I am very proud to be a participant of such important program. I think that such supportive program for psychologists, for professionals, is very important, because I think that now we are on the border of very important changes because of COVID-19. And I think that all of you know now that the world is changing rapidly and not to its best side, because all these troubles which we meet now will have very fast and impressive development. And I do not know the situation in India, but what I can see in Russia now, we are very emerged and stressed because of psychological state of people who live now in situation of pandemia COVID-19. But before starting to present my session today, I would like to ask you to be polite, to be patient to my English, because it is not my mother tongue. And it would be very important for me if you will ask your questions not very fast as you used to do it, because my English differs from your English. And to the better communication, we should do it very carefully, I suppose. So I hope that my request and my suggestion will find place in your warm Indian hearts. And if you would like to ask any questions, I can write my email. And dear Dr. Suresh Kumar, so he knows my email and my contacts, and you can ask anytime any questions you want, and we can continue our communication after the seminar. So to my pity, I didn't have enough time to prepare very bright PowerPoint presentation for today's session, because now we have busy time in our medical university. We all have distant learning process with our clinical psychologists, and as well we try to search what is going on with our society, with all the troubles which modern people meet in pandemic situation. And if someone participated in my previous seminar, which was devoted to the learned helplessness phenomena, you can remember that this state can be of two variations, of two kinds. So it can be a terminate state, so as a state of learned helplessness, when people feel that they can't overcome difficulties, they can only face the trouble but not fight the trouble, that they have no power to be self-esteemed, to be self-determined, and it is only their objective position which is not connected with objective state of situation. So they think that they're helpless. And this state of being helplessness influences 4 important personal spheres. The first is emotional sphere. The second is motivation. The next is willpower, and the last, so as the crown of the process, is cognitive sphere of personality. So, and during our last seminar, I tried to explain how this state is being developed in personality due to specific parental attitude in the families. So if parents put the child into position of very infant, of very small and unable, so such child grows up into the helpless adult person. So, and you can ask, scientific interest is connected with something we have now in the world, with pandemic and COVID-19. And I see the direct connection, because if people in previous times could have roots and predispositions for a learned helplessness development, the situation of pandemic is a very strong factor for developing this helpless state into personal state, not just the situative, not just the temporary state. So I didn't overcome the difficulty, I feel helpless. So I press myself, I teach myself, I master my skills, and I can overcome the difficulty. But now what we have, we stay at home, we are in the lack of communication, all our needs are deprived, and we do not know what is going on in the whole world. So we have no general and very clear information about what is going on with this COVID-19. And all this situation leads to personal, not state, but personal feature as helplessness. And now I am working on a paper, on the article where I compare the learned helplessness state and personal learned helplessness with something which we have now in the world with COVID-19. So if you don't mind, I can share my ideas how this 4-part state of learned helplessness can be found in the situation of pandemic now. So, and let me argue to my preparing paper. So it is not completed now. I am in the process, but I am ready to share my ideas with you. So I told you that on the early stages of the genetic development, young kids, so since 3 to 6 years old, the most sensitive personal sphere is emotional sphere. So if kids feel stress, if they are frustrated, if they live in toxic families, so they can find roots of personal helplessness in themselves. So they're anxious, they are not self-esteemed, they feel that the world is not safe, and so on. So the same now all adult people feel in the situation of pandemic. So the population of all countries experiences dysphoric emotional states, the central link of which is panic, anxiety, aggression, despair, frustration, and uncertainty. So these were the first feelings that COVID is real. So not all people, and I live in city in Krasnoyarsk, in center of Siberia, and the situation with COVID is not so dangerous in our city in comparison with Moscow, for example, or St. Petersburg. But we are almost near the very dangerous situation. So we are locked in our houses, we do not do our job as we used to, and it is very difficult to stay in this emotional tension. So the second part, the second sphere of personality, which can be very sensitive to learned helplessness development, is motivation. And usually this sphere suffers from a helplessness state when a kid is about 6, 7, or 8 years old. Here in Russia, this is the period when kids enter the school, and so they should change the type of motivation. When they are kids of kindergarten age, they can play, and the only motivation is to develop personally through the game situation, through playing process. But when kids enter the school, they have to change their motivation into study motivation. So teachers say usually stop playing games and start learning things. And it is very important when it suits to the abilities of a kid, everything goes right and correctly. So if the studying process is interesting, very emotional, safe, and suits the needs of a child, everything goes very good. But if a kid meets again anxiety, aggression, and his his studying needs, so his need to search for information is blocked by not appropriate relations from teachers, from parents. So you have bad marks, you're not very smart student, so you should train yourself, you're stupid fool, and so on. The motivation to study drops. So now let's go back to our pandemic situation. In current conditions, the motivational sphere has changed, even in adult fields. Yes, the field of adult people. So there has been a shift in the focus of dominant motivation from classical life values. So in our usual common life, we were motivated to professional development, to reading books, to communication, to supporting our relations, and so on. But now we can't of now self-realization, self-actualization, professional and personal formation, and all the motivation in focused to maintaining of non-adaptive forms of preservation of life. For example, uncontrolled and non-rational purchase of basic necessities. I do not know the situation in India, but I saw the news and I read the news from social nets. There are a lot of my colleagues who share the information, and they are all people all over the world were shocked. For example, when people were staying in the long queues just for one reason, to buy all the toilet paper in supermarket. So it was very strange motivation. It is a very strange way of self-preservation. So people were buying not necessary amount of food, for example. So they did unexplained things. So, and it was the shift of health motivation to unhealthy motivation. Well, so the next level, the next sphere of personality, which can be involved in developing learned helplessness state, is willpower. So when a teenager, teenagers should develop his willpower. So it is very important for a teenager to be a strong-willed person, to make decisions himself, to be very brave, to separate from family, so to stay alone with all the specific of his personalities. So to become a willpowered person means to become able to survive in this world. So I can overcome difficulty. So I'd like to fight the difficulty, because all difficulties show me my personal features. So if I see something which is difficult for me to overcome, and I say, so okay, so let's do that. I do not know how I will overcome it, but I will try my power. I don't have a plan, but I have motivation to do something for me. And only after overcoming this difficulty, I can understand the level of my skills. So my qualification, my life qualification, what am I able to do? And when teenager, so is growing in a toxic parental relations, so he or she thinks that I'm not able to do anything without help of my parents. I am not able to do something in my life generally. And let's go to the situation of pandemic now. So the level of self-control, for example, as a manifestation of the will of the population has significantly decreased, which has been manifested in the violation of the regime of the day. So you know that many people ruined their daily graph, their daily schedule. Many people started watching sitcoms and so on during all the night. So now after that, they couldn't wake up in the morning and do their scheduled, so their common activities. For example, go to the gym, do their morning rounds and so on. And I met such situation with my colleagues, with my clinical psychologists, which I teach during their professional after diploma courses. And they shared their experience that it is very difficult for them to wake up in the morning. One young clinical psychologist, so she is a professional, so she told me that as my husband, we were watching movies till the morning. And now we have nothing to eat because we didn't cook. So, and now we are in depression and so on and so forth. So it is all connected with self-control. So it seems like someone can control people. People are controlled by super ego of society, but not of their own super ego. So it looks like lack of super ego development. There is no adult part in modern adult people who can control and say, okay, now it's 6 a.m. and you should wake up and do everything you should do as adult person. So, where am I? So, violation of the regime of the day, lack of reliance on elementary rules of time management. I have no time. So what does it mean? People have the time of all the day. So, and this day can be devoted to study, to reading books, to creating something important, to communication by, so what we are doing now, by different social nets or technical programs. And we can use this period of time to feel the lack, to feel the deficit, to remove the deficit of everything we suffered in our usual life. But people have lack of time management, and it is obvious. So, cool down of maintaining the foundations of healthy lifestyle. I do not know the situation in India, but I know about European countries and I know it about Russia. This abusing of alcohol has grown rapidly on about 30%. So the amount of alcohol which was bought in supermarket so raised to 30%, and it is also awful because people were blocked in their houses. They didn't know what to do with their lives, and they started drinking alcohol. So what we met, and in our country, our government so proposed a rule. So the alcohol is not sold now after the special time, so after 6 p.m. So it is not allowed to sell alcohol in supermarkets because of this problem as well. So violation of the regime of self-isolation with full awareness of the consequences by the mass media. I heard from my Italian and Spain colleagues that the situation which was in their countries about 2-3 weeks ago, you know that these two countries were in very high danger of COVID-19 because the situation was awful. The amount of people who were ill with COVID-19 was so high that medical sphere couldn't overcome the difficulty. And the only reason for such fast development of this disease was violation of self-isolation regime. So when it was announced that people are not working anymore, so the self-isolation regime started, all people decided that it's a kind of vacation, it's a kind of weekend. So it was the middle of spring, and all people started walking in gardens with children, so making picnics and so on. And that is why COVID started spreading very fastly, so fast that the system of medical assistance couldn't help the situation. So, and I connected also with the violation of willpower sphere. So, and the last sphere which can be influenced in this situation, and I think is directly connected with learned helplessness phenomena, because when a child has violation in his emotional sphere, he has lack of study motivation, so he is not developed enough to study himself, to have skills of self-study. After that, he has ruined willpower sphere because he can't press himself to overcome difficulties. For example, to stick to the plan, to complete any routine and any affair to the end. After that, the final and the most obvious is lack of cognitive sphere development. When we have no experience in overcoming difficulties, we have lack and disadvantage of life strategies, of any cognitive strategies of solving the problems. And this is the final, which we have sometimes among youth, among students, when we cannot study. So I read letters, but I cannot understand the text, for example, and it is not connected with brain violations. Sometimes it is connected with learned helplessness. I am not able to study. I am not able to make decision. I am not able to overcome difficulty. I am not able to work myself out in the crisis situation. And so the same is about adult people who are now in pandemic situation. There is an acute problem of selectivity in terms of information absorption. So people people eat all the information from mass media, from people around. So people believe in different myths about coronavirus, but they do not read, for example, elementary Wikipedia papers, Wikipedia articles, just to know what is going on. What are the symptoms? So what is the virus? So what is the difference between flu and coronavirus, and so on? So in our university, for example, it was decided that all the staff should be taught what is coronavirus infection. Even I am a psychologist. I don't have medical education, but I had to study everything. What is going on, how to behave, what are the symptoms, and how to define coronavirus and flu, for example. How can I help people? So what is the best variation? So why shouldn't you take any antibiotics during this period of time? What is dangerous to do? What is not dangerous to do? We were given the direct strategies of defining and overcoming this situation. So, and this helps me to calm down all my relatives and friends. They know where to dig the information, whom to ask, but most of people are not given this information. That is why many people think that coronavirus is something is a myth. So it's a fairy tale. It's something which was invented by politicians and so on, and they still do not believe that it is really a dangerous situation. But there is other part of population who not just even believe, they are so frightened with this that they are in panic. So, and it is also very difficult. Well, so this led to reduction of critical thinking, inability to change the usual methods of response to crisis situation, and the ability to create new, flexible, more adaptive kinds of living, strategies of living. So they just said and said, so most people, so I do not know what to do, I am shocked. I can do nothing. So not to find new ways. And you know that many businesses are closed. So many people lost their money and job because they are not able to be flexible in this situation. This is a problem. And I think that the consequence of all these four factors, four big groups of symptoms of learned helplessness during pandemic of COVID-19 will influence the situation in the future, not only this year, but many years after that, because you know that many people lost their job. So students and school pupils, so they suffered from lack of education. So the distant learning differs from subjective personal learning process. So it is not controlled somehow. The level of education dropped. And if a person is not very motivated to find and search for the correct information, so he or she will be the victim of manipulation, I suppose. And if to discuss not only influence of this pandemic situation on the people from emotional, motivational, willpower, and cognitive sphere, we can discuss this problem from the position of ontogenetic problems. So young people, small children, they do not visit kindergartens. And you know that one day in children's society for a child is very important for development. Many parents, most parents, are not taught and are not able to take the position of a teacher, of a nurse. So they are not taught and not skilled enough to teach their children to organize their time. And most parents say, so, wow, I'm going to be mad from my kids. I'm starting hating my kids because I don't know what to do with all of them. I do not know how to use all this time. I am tired. So it is not allowed to walk on the street. It is spring, it is summer now. I am blocked with my kids. They played all the games. They watched all the movies and films. So it's really a mess. So I see you have kids during our session. That's great. Well, so if we're speaking about school children, especially about those who should complete their school education, so they should, they had and were planned to pass the final exams, their finals at school. And what we have here in Russia, for example, my son this year, so he completed his 9th grade and he had to receive his document of medium education, medium school education, and he had to pass his exams. All the exams were not even delayed, but we have no exams now, so we have no ability to check the level of knowledge of students. And so how can they enter college? How can they enter the professional lyceum, for example? And now the only thing they can do is to continue their school education. But many pupils, so they didn't want to receive higher education. They didn't want to go to university. They wanted to start their professional education now. And this means that they didn't have choice. And this is the consequence of such situation. Another difficult part of school problems is for those school students who completed high school. So they had to enter the university. And now they have many difficulties with passing through their finals and entering the university. They didn't have opportunity to visit campings of universities, to choose their professional sphere by their own plan. So they now just have to choose any specialty which their own city gives. So local city gives, because there is no opportunity to move to another city, to enter the university in another city, because the communication between cities is also very difficult. As for the students, I know from my colleagues that many lectures and many seminars were delayed, and they were transit to the distant form. But you know that if we can be very effective in theoretical part, how can we demonstrate our practical skills? So if I can speak to my students, and if I can give and show them something with my hands, with my voice, with my body, with all my phenomenology, now I cannot do it because we are very far from each other. And they are really crying, especially girls. So, Olesya, we miss your lessons. So it is very difficult. We are tired of distant learning. So we didn't value it before, but now it's really like a fairy tale. So they want to pass exams. So you see, so they want to meet a teacher even to pass the exam. So it means that there is a specific lack of communication with the teacher, with the tutor, and it is also the problem. As for our medical university, I can say that there is a big piece of benefit from pandemic, because our medical students, our future doctors, were became volunteers, and they got very specific and precious experience of overcoming COVID-19. It was really dangerous for them. So they it was like a war for them, but they obtained huge experience. So this is the only tiny benefit from this situation. If we can speak about people of middle age, for example, like we are, so you know that many people lost their job. The statistics, for example, of China shows that many people divorced after pandemia, because people are not used to stay with a partner. So 24 hours per day, seven days per week, and it is really a very big tension. We were so we lost our private space, and it is really hard, because you know that our psychological space, our private space, is very important for our safety. It is our core need. We cannot be always involved in social communication, even with those who is very important for us, even with our parents, with our husbands and wives and kids, because we should have our private space. And another problem is distant work. Most people had to change their office places into computers, but computer is at home, and there is such phenomena is stress overlap, when people do not know, I am at home but I am working, where is the place for rest? So there is no difference between two important parts of life, my professional activity and my private life. When I should write a report and my children are running around away, and I lose my internet connection, but nobody is interested in my troubles, because my boss wants my report immediately, and I don't have my colleagues near me to ask the recommendation and any advice. So it is really a stressful thing. As for people of the third age, they are very stressed by both parts. So they are in the risk group of COVID-19, because you know that immune system is not so strong. they suffer from fear because I'm blocked. I didn't see my kids and my relatives for many months. It is very stressful. So my neighbor yesterday shared me with tears that her friend didn't see her mom, but they live in close buildings. So, and she is crying. She says, it's really stressful. I cannot see my mom. I just buy food. So go to the door, leave the food and go away, not to be a risk factor to her. And the next important thing for people who are of the third age, so they do not know what to do because this risk doubles all the stress which is connected with age. So I'm not very young, so I have not many time for my life, and this is the additional dangerous factor which can shorten my life. And I know that many people, many old people in Russia, for example, my parents, they are involved in gardening, so they have their own grounds where they plant vegetables and fruits, and it's a kind of hobby to support their motivation to live. For example, if I plant any seed, I'm watching like it is growing and I'm happy that I have results, and so it gives me motivation to live. But now most people of the third age are in lack of this activity. They are not used to stay at home and do nothing without any communication. So I think that speaking about learned helplessness in these pandemic times is very difficult from these two sides. And another thing which we as psychologists will need is, so as I call it now, parallel pandemia. So pandemia which is connected with psychological health, with mental health of population. And it is also influences medical staff who are working with COVID-19, because many of them are blocked in hospitals. They cannot communicate with their families, and it is really stressful for them. For example, one of my colleagues, she didn't see her family since 23rd of March, because she lives in isolation. She helps those people who are ill with COVID-19, and I know that she will need rehabilitation period after she will leave this hospital. So, colleagues, my presentation is not very positive. I know I told you many many dull things, but what should I do? It's my job. And I think that using our international initiatives, we can create any programs which can be used after this pandemic period will slow down and even stop, because we will live with the same people, but these people will be very different. And we as psychologists should be very flexible to this situation. And our responsibility is to change the methods and the strategies of our psychological support concerning diagnostics, psychological help in consulting work, psychotherapy, and maybe even psychoprevention of all the consequences of a pandemic period. So this is the end of my theoretical part. And if you have any question, so I beg you, speak not very fast for me. And if I will ask you to repeat your question, so please be patient to my English. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, doctor, for the wonderful session. We actually enjoyed it. Though the PPT presentation was not there, your input was really good, ma'am. Thank you so much for the informative session. So
Thank you.
I now request Dr. Sujata Malini to give a brief feedback on the session, please. Doctor?
Yeah. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes.
It's very nice, ma'am. On the overall, your presentation was your presentation was very nice, and you have given explanation on learned helplessness, and you have given live examples that too related to COVID-19. So in this realistic situation, how people are behaving and what are the psychological problems they are facing, it was well explained by you. I hope all the participants who are here with us, they have got enlightened related to the psychological support they need to get during this COVID-19 pandemic situation. A lot of psychological problems and the mental state of the students and the individuals, even in the individuals in the society, they have a lot of stressful situation. They undergo stressful situation during this COVID-19 repeatedly, and they come to believe that we need to practice ourselves to live with this COVID-19 for almost maybe 6 months or 1 year. So in this situation, I hope your session will be very fruitful for all the participants to cope up with their psychological fear, psychological stress, and other psychological problems related to COVID-19 and other issues also. So in this aspect, I am so happy that you have explained in a clear-cut manner and very slow and calm presentation. I hope everyone have understood that. So with this feedback, I expect questions and queries from other participants so that you can interact with them and you can clarify their doubts if there is.
Now, participants, I request you to raise your hands, to use the raise your hands button to ask questions. If you would like to put it on the chat box, please do. It will be read out to the resource person. And yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, sir, please proceed. Good evening.
Hello.
Yeah. Ma'am, my question is,
Sir, it is not audible. Little bit louder, please.
ma'am, my question is, how can learned helplessness cause depression?
So surely the learned helplessness state, even in usual times not connected with the pandemic, so leads to depression, because the depression is lack of activity connected with lack of motivation. I have no sense to live with all my resources. And the founder of positive psychology, so the scientist who was the first speaking about learned helplessness state, Martin Seligman, so the American psychologist, I hope you know about him. So he told that anxiety and depression are two sides of learned helplessness state, because from one side, I'm afraid to live my life. From another side, I'm not going to live my life because I'm afraid to do it. So it is directly connected. And most people who have depression, they feel helpless. So if you will ask your depressive patients, so what do they feel? And you will point out, does your state seems and is felt like you are helpless? So I think that they will say, yes, I feel helplessness. That is why I do nothing.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Maybe if you have any questions or feedbacks or recommendations or something else, I will be very happy to communicate with you here on our chat or by email or maybe by Facebook Messenger. So that is okay for me to communicate.
Thank you for that, ma'am. We'll definitely send your profile to people so that they
Thank
can
you.
mail you. And I could see Mr. Nitish K. Jose raise their hand. Can you please unmute yourself and ask a question, sir, please?
Mhm.
Mr. Nitish? Okay.
Pardon, Ananya?
Yes, ma'am.
One question from YouTube link. Srinivasan was asking, I don't know why, what it means. The question was written in the chat box, like 260s version and 2K version are living together with 4 Android beings. Do you really feel that staying home is happy?
So the big part of question was not transferred to me because of poor internet connection. So will you maybe repeat it once again, or someone will happy or will be very helpful to?
Sure, ma'am.
260 version and 2K version are living together with 4 Android beings. Do you really feel that staying home is happy?
So staying home is heavy
With different generations.
Yes. So it depends on family and it depends of. So when I was talking that staying home with family is really difficult, I meant that there are different types of communication in family, and if the relationship are toxic, it will be awful. So we will meet the family violence. So if people didn't have close communication, for example, they are just married, but they have no relations, it will be really difficult for them, because when you see each other 24 hours per day, you can understand that you didn't know your partner at all. But when family has close relations, when everyone feels the psychological borders, everyone tries to be very patient and supportive, it could be really a nice vacation to stay at home with your family. So it is very dependent on the level of relations in families.
I have one question.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ask, ma'am.
I have one question, ma'am. The students are taking the online classes and they are habitual of taking the online classes. But when the lockdown is over, everything is normal. They come to their normal routine. Their psychology is definitely, we have to change their psychology because they become the online habitual. How can we do?
So there are two ways of solving this problem. We should do something even now. For example, we can contact this part of population and motivate them to do something with their life. So to stick to the plan, to be more skilled in time management and so on. Or we can create different psychological techniques to support them after the situation will be normal. So sorry, but we should be the most flexible part of the world, I suppose, and we should be ready to all the changes in people and not to be shocked. And one of my friends is joking that after pandemic is over, I will be the richest person in our city because I will have so many clients to solve their psychological problems. I hope I won't be, because I wish all the people only health and luck, and both mental and physical. But I think there is a piece of true in his joke. So we should watch and um, um, be very careful and be ready to help with any support to people when the situation will be normal. But I think that the situation will be normal but different, very different. We won't have pandemia, but the world will never be the same. So it is obviously everything is changing. The business, communication, relations, so teaching process. You know that we live now in informational society. So, and the way of exchanging of information now is very different. Everything is distant. Everything is not personal and subjective, but objective. So, and I think that will be the reason of personal changes. I know that one of my colleagues, so she defended her candidacy dissertation on clinical psychology in May, and her dissertation was devoted to the criteria of norm in pathopsychology. So she studied the generation of people who are now about 25 years old on Medium, and she studied their mental health, and she revealed that the criteria of norm changed. So what was in classical pathological psychology out of the borders of norm now should be included in norm, because computers, internet, and the way of accepting the information changed cardinally. And we should be very attentive to everything, all the psychological process, all the ways of accepting the information and perceiving the information is very different. And now we are on the next stage of changing of it. So everything is computerized. So the close connections, the family connections became closer, but the distant connections, for example, collegial connections and relations, became more distant. So everything is changing, and now we cannot tell and give the exact, the direct methods now. We should start searching the situation and should create new methods together, I suppose, using the experience of China, for example, because now they have special course books and books with methodical recommendations of how to organize psychological help to people who overcame COVID-19. So you see that they are quite forward the whole world. So we should take the experience and see how can we use it in our reality, in our cultures.
Thank you for that, ma'am. So due to time constraint, I think only one more question we will take, and then we have another session, which is the resource person is waiting. So let the last question be from Uma Maheshwari ji. Ma'am, please proceed with your question.
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am, you can be, you're heard. Please to continue.
I think she is not online.
Okay.
At this juncture, Ananya,
Yes, ma'am.
I would
Hello,
request.
hello.
Yeah.
Can
Priya
you hear me?
Maheshwari?
Yes, ma'am. We could
Yes,
hear
yes,
you.
ma'am.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, you can ask
Yes,
question.
ma'am. Yeah. Do you think that being expert in a certain field is more essential, or knowing the basic knowledge of all the field is essential to overcome such pandemic periods? Hello, am I clear?
Can you please?
So,
Yeah.
yes, can you repeat it again? So what
Yeah.
is the?
Please be a little slow, ma'am.
Yeah. Do you think that being expert in one field is better, or being basic knowledge in all the field is essential to overcome this pandemic period? Hello.
I think it's a very serious question, and I think that if people are in the know of all these problems, they can decide what to do with this pandemic situation. So I do not know how to answer your question responsibly, because we are only in the first stage of meeting this situation. Now we are starting to face the consequences of COVID-19, and we should state the problems and then decide how we will cope with these difficulties. Now I think that we should compile all the information which we receive from different countries to generate our experience. And after that, maybe we will even invent specific manuals for psychologists, what to do here and what is the technology of overcoming the difficulties. Not just knowledge, surely, not just knowledge, because theoretical part of our knowledge costs nothing if it is not implemented into practice.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for your question.
Sujata, ma'am.
I am so happy to say that Kannamma Motan Professor Sultan Idris University is also with us, and she is participating in this webinar. I just request her to say a few views in short. Madam, are you there?
Ma'am.
Hello. Kannamma, ma'am.
Kannamma, ma'am. Yeah. I think maybe she will join us in the next one. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. So I now request Professor Akshay Lakshmi to kindly give the vote of thanks.
Thanks for the opportunity. It was a wonderful presentation. It was really beautiful and clear, I will say, because the developmental stages along with the areas of work like the schooling, then you just included the workplace, and also you also included the parenthood and the family. It was really nice to hear your presentation. It was very well organized. Thank you so much for your presentation. And on behalf of the Department of Special Education, Alagappa University, and the Department of Psychology, American College, I really thank you for being, on behalf of them, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you for invitation.
Thank you,
it is really again a very nice experience to communicate with you, to see your interested eyes, and to hear your kind voices. And it's really good. So, and thanks to COVID-19, we are all here.
Very true.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you on our next seminars.
Very sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So now I think it's time to introduce our next resource person, Dr. Subasree, ma'am. I kindly request Dr. Suresh Kumar sir to please welcome and introduce Dr. Subasree.
Sujata ma'am, you can give the welcome address. I will introduce the speaker, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. At the outset, I'm so happy, ma'am, on behalf of Department of Special Education, Alagappa University and Department of Psychology, American College. We are so happy to welcome you. We sincerely record our welcome for this webinar, international webinar on mental health and well-being or wellness during this COVID-19 pandemic situation. We all here with a lot of queries and questions and suggestions and doubts related to mental health, how to fight against this COVID-19 situation, that social distancing and different fear and other stressful psychological fears. So in this situation, I'm so happy you are with us, and you can extremely, clarify the participants' doubt. I'm sure. On behalf of Alagappa University and American College, I welcome you, ma'am.
Ma'am, thank you for welcome.
I request Suresh sir to introduce madam, because just I have welcomed her.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. Ma'am, I'm happy to introduce the second speaker of today, Dr. Subasree Vanamali. She is a professor of psychology and presently working as in the Ph.D. Department of Psychology, Counselling Psychology at Madras School of Social Work, Chennai. And she is very good in life skill training. She's a renowned life skill trainer throughout the world. And I have witnessed her presentation, and then there are many sessions in a day. She conducted more than 5 sessions in a day. I was there in a Rajiv Gandhi Institute, and as per my knowledge, she may conducted more than around 500 training programs on very mental health related components. And she is having around nearly 2 decades of experience in teaching psychology, ma'am. Ma'am, we are very happy to have your session today. Ma'am is going to present a session on mental health of children. Please take over the session and share your knowledge and experience.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. It's indeed a pleasure and actually an pleasant moment. I request all of you to put it in mute. Good afternoon, one and all present here. It's indeed a pleasure for me to be with you all. I thank the opportunity given by the Department of Special Education, Alagappa University, and Department of Psychology, American College for this wonderful event and the initiative they have taken during this pandemic period. I sincerely appreciate them as well as thank them for this opportunity given. The first speaker has given a beautiful foundation for me to talk about this topic on mental health for children. I'm going to share my slides with you all, and can it be the host is disabled the participant screen sharing? Can you just allow me to do that? Yeah, allow me to do that.
Yes, now we can, ma'am.
Yes.
Now we can.
Yes, thank you. Are you able to see the screen? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you. Okay. So this is going to be mental health for children, and the first speaker has given a beautiful background for it, how it may affect the entire lifespan. And it is our duty and responsibility as mental health professionals to prepare our adults to take care of the children. And as a teacher, as also a parent at home, it's our prime duty and responsibility to take care of our kids and children and even adolescents, sometimes even adults and elderly too. So in this notion, I would like to start the presentation. We all know that how seriously it is affecting all of us. We all are talking about the ill effects of pandemic and how it may impact us during this lockdown period. She was talking about Russia. In India, the lockdown period has been quite a long period for all of us. It is continuing for a quite long. It is an unusual situation for all of us. It is a very novel situation. So far, none of our known generation has experienced this. This is a greater challenge for all of us as a adult also. In that case, it is very very difficult for all of us to be part of this itself and accept the fact that we have to live with this for a quite long time. When it comes to children, they are totally unaware of all this, and they are actually much innocent about all this, and they were playful, they really want to enjoy their life, and they are not matured enough to even face this. So it is very difficult, and it is our responsibility to make them understand how it is, important for all of us to take care of oneself in during this pandemic period. So the children, I would like to take you like an a positive approach, that is efficiency model, because she has given you an alarm warning signal for all of you that how difficult it is. People may get into learned helplessness trap, and they may it may actually reflect in their adulthood. She has given a very clear picture. Now it is all of us to take this as a challenge, and it is also god given period for all of us to work very very fruitfully and productively to repair and restructure and repolish our relationship at home. I think the re-establishment of a relationship could be possible if you really really work for it. So in this notion, I would like to bring a lot of tips for you as a parent, as also a teacher, and as a adult in a larger sense. And as a child, we all know that as we all adult, we know that the child grows, and the importance of childhood in their adulthood. We all know that, and how important it is there in their personality development. As professional psychologists, we all know, and educationalists, we all know. So the grooming of early years, the child is actually very important for all of us. We need to really took I mean, we need to really need to take care of how important steps we have to take while we are parenting them. So before going into the picture of that, I would like you to just look into the scenario. The WHO states that worldwide, why there is a requirement for child mental health. Earlier, there was not much talk about this. People were not were not addressing about mental health for children, because it was so ignored. Especially, I would say in India, it is part and parcel of their parents' duty, and they will take care of the children. And the mental health was not being addressed so deeply so far. And WHO states that more than 10 to 20% of the children and adolescents experience mental, disorders, even health hazards, and some of them are affected because of the disturbances. It may not be disorders or mild, and most of the serious disorders, the onset, we all know that it is mostly adolescent period. So we all have to be very very careful, and we have to be really responsible to take care of them in the early years. So to throw light on, be aware of what kind of childhood disorders we are actually may have to address or take care. So if you look into the health perspective, or from the psychiatry ward or a clinical psychologist ward, you can see that a lot of entry on anxiety, depression, and also ODD and CD, and also ADHD. All these are very very common, and very very common is anxiety and depression. Now the anxiety and depression is so associated with this pandemic also. You all know that. And people who are already in OCD, it's very very and difficult situation for them, because dealing with their already they are in the threat of being infected, and it is also going to throw a greater challenge for them. So being in responsible mental health professionals, we need to really look in this category also. So children who are going to lay foundation at early years, if you have been able to look at them and correct them and take care of them and support them, nurture them, it is not going to be a great challenge for all of us, because we all responsible for a kid. We really wanted a kid in life, we plan for it, and we give birth to them. So in that case, it's our responsibility, as well as the child's right also, to provide them a nourishing environment, a conducive environment, a fruitful, growth. So in that case, we as an adult hold a major responsibility. I should say the second parents, like a teacher, you all hold even more a greater responsibility in that case. So I really wanted to make sure that that is possible, even though in this pandemic period, we can really work on that. That is my say. So we all know that child, know your child and adolescents, you all know that they are growing physically, cognitively, and also emotionally, socially, morally. You all would have gone through all the theoretical base for that. I'm not here to talk about the theory over here. The physiological changes and cognitive development by Piaget, emotional development and psychosocial by Erikson, and moral development, all this you are aware of. But knowing is not enough. Doing is very important. At this pandemic period, I really feel that it is very essential for all of us. God given period for you, a buffer period to recorrect your own style of parenting. So if there is a possibility for all of us to recheck which age is my child, which if my son is reaching adolescent age, is that what is that I know him, is that his entire developmental process I have been with him, is there any lag? Is there any possibility to correct it? Is there any possibility to relook and revisit my decisions on parenting? That could be definitely done if you really have a mind for, have an heart also for it. So in that case, I would like to talk about the current scenario, which is actually throwing a challenge towards us, is a fear, anxiety, sadness, probably seeing other people and people are getting very sad. People are dying because of that. We are sad, and also you just think of the fear is common for everyone. It is not at you alone at home. It is a common fear for all of us. And anxiety, if you look into the anxiety, we don't know the uncertainty, how the schools are going to be, how the colleges are going to be. The children who are studying in the final year graduation, they are in the threat, how I am going to choose my career, what would be my career option, how will I am going to settle in my life. And people who are already in job, are the adults are also getting into, already they have established their career, they are also in threat. And some of them are in the threat of maybe thrown out of the profession also, like a recession or economic cut down or a salary cut down. The anxiety is enormous. We know as an adult it is going to be prevalent at least for 2 years. I think it will take time to settle down as a developing country, India. I also feel the anger because of the stress level is very high. People are seeing each other. They are not used to people around all the time at home. 24 bar 7 people are at home and nobody is actually going out and seeing each other. And people are using others' resources, sharing much of resources, and there are a lot of things. And women at home are being burdened because of there are a lot of work at home, and they have been in the kitchen for 24 hours. There are a lot of you know people are also learning shared responsibility to the other side, but there are so many things are really creating in frustration. And because of this frustration, people are throwing anger bursts, and they don't know how to control their anger or constructively use it, because they have been bounce back. There is no outlet for them. They don't go out and share with their friends. They don't have an opportunity to go and meet their friends. They don't have an actually an connect as before. So the physical connect is very less. So because of this, people are finding it very difficult to manage with this anger. And procrastination, which is a very very easy thing to do, that is denying, as you well stated in the previous presentation. The speaker has told about learned helplessness. I cannot do, I'm not able to do this, I won't be able to do this, like that they think and procrastinate and avoid the current scenario to postpone, which they have actually scheduled for. In that case, it is becoming going to be an even greater challenge, because they are going to pile up. They are not just piling up the duty, they are also piling up the emotions along with that. So we need to be very very careful on looking at these categories of our own self. how our personality is being actually, reacting to all this situation. And people become rebellious, especially the adolescent. Already their characteristics are very rebellious, you all know that. And because of the hormonal changes, but they are seems to be very rebellious because they are not in an usual situation. They are being thrown into a cage. The lion is actually really wanting to come out, but the lions are being kept in the cage and asked to roam inside around. So they are rebellious for everything. You give a food, they say that I don't like this. You give anything and they do temper tantrums like small kids. And there are other one important thing is lazy and boredness. If you ask anyone, I'm bored. Even people are saying attending so much of webinars are getting bored. So that is the scenario. Doing anything monotonously is really kills people. There is no variety if you have been being at home for a quite long time. All these as a result of stress which we are going through. The stress is personally what we are actually undergoing because of, maybe because of a professional or financial or personal or interpersonal at home. And more than that, it is also about the secondary stress symptoms, like we watch media and we get stressed also. So many people are dying, so many people are walking here and there, so many people are not being able to admit in the hospital. There are so many things we see because the news updates and also the media updates. So this is a secondary stress also causing us. This is the current scenario. All of us are sailing in the same boat. It is not one who is actually thinking of this. All of us are in the same boat. But if what could be done as a simple adult technique and as a psychologist or even in very matured adult at home, how you can actually handle this scenario. So just think of that. No, they, when it comes to, because adult can actually settle down because the responsibility. But children are very very, they are growing. They need to be really really give and take, given care. So we need to really give them a space for that. So plan your day and also give personal spaces for each one. Even if they're a child, don't indulge in controlling them all the time. Do this, do that. Give them their own space. It's very important. And validate their emotions. That is the main reason people get agitated. If you don't get involved in this, you see, as soon as the child is rebelling, there is not it is not his intention to rebel or fight against your thoughts or deeds. It is only that he is not able to manage himself. As she mentioned, learned helplessness. I'm not able to come out of this. I'm totally stressed. How can you actually help me? Is the cry inside, but they are showing it outside differently. We need to validate the emotions. So we need to really ask them, do you feel angry, my dear? They will say, no, no, I am not angry, I'm a little upset. They will say, they will come out of their own emotions. They will address to you. They will melt down. They will actually come into the terms if you validate their emotions. And also making them understand the stress and anxiety is very normal. Everybody is going through. Unless you normalize that, it is going to be a greater challenge, because they will feel that I am only going through this kind of issue. When you normalize, they will feel that there are so many people with me. The conformity takes place. So there is a kind of support system is already been evolved in them. So it is very easy for all of us to take care of them, because everybody is going through. And when you are seeing the media also, make sure that the stress is not being loaded or information is not overloaded for them. We need to take care of that also. Accept and keep moving. It is the one of the very important thing we need to really tell them. See, anger is fine, and constructively communicating the anger you need to teach, because as an adult sometimes you throw words, you scold on them. You don't actually respect their identity. There is something called an existential identity. We never even bother about the existence of the child because they are taken granted. So that should not be there. Giving them in space and importance and respect is also very important. At this pandemic period, it is very much relevant, because you are actually getting a chance to groom them a better person. So accepting them as they are and keep moving on. Accepting, making them to accept the other things also as they are. The stress is there, we need to overcome it. We have challenges, but it's fine. How we can overcome, we can discuss about that. That kind of compromise we need to bring into each other and listen to them. That is the major important one. Most of the time while you are working all the time, and dual working parents, there is no time. You always used to say and complain that I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time for my family, and I don't have personal time. Now all the time is with your family. Why don't you listen to them, talk to them, chat to them, understand their friends, understand their circle of friends, understand their interest? All that is a given, God given chance for all of us. I think it is possible for all of us to set a goal for each day, a positive goal for each day. I at my family play a game. It may be a different game. One day we played snake and ladder. Other day we played carom board. Other day we planned. I planned a game which is in gratitude giving. So kind of games you can plan so that it will bring, and it is also teaching social skills for them. It is also teaching them how you can actually build a relationship, and you can also respect people. Like you can also actually be aware of your own self and give time and follow the follow it also. Most of the time what we do, we tell others, we don't actually follow time. We may be in a upside or in the tumbled time schedule, but we ask other people to follow the time. That is a very very essential thing. You know time, give time and schedule, follow the schedule for yourself also. Make a note of it: personal time, professional time, family time, and also strictly follow that. Children will definitely have a sense of understanding. Okay, my parents are with me. It's a professional time for them, I should not disturb them. This is a personal time for them, I should not disturb. And they will also learn personal time is required for them, school timing, reading time, studying time is required for them, play and family time is required for them. We need to give them such a kind of role model there, and give quality time and care. And quality time mean to say that a lot of people giving time means it's not that you are sitting with a gadget, the child is playing with another game, and other person is sitting with a book. It is all about talking to each other, looking at each other face to face, and something change, something, an exchange of ideas and decisions could be made even for their better life tomorrow. And then help to release the stress by play. This I was addressing, how you can play and how you can actually enrich their habits, and how you can actually, children who don't want to read books, doesn't incline to read books, this is a chance for all of you. Give them small comics and small books and storytelling. You go along with them and you read for them, then slowly they get into the habit of joining with you for book reading also. I've seen a lot of parents who does storytelling, bedtime storytelling, but it doesn't mean that you should use it only bedtime. Sometimes in the you can plan that this is a story time for all of us, join together. So each one take, one day you read, the other day other person reads, so that it becomes an routine in the family. People are also then after the story, analyzing the story and finding out what could be the character is the best, and who do you like, why do you like, how do you like, what made you to like that person. That kind of analysis is important. Even in movie watching, media literacy is very important. When you watch a movie, also discuss with that. I was watching a movie with my son, Kung Fu Panda. Then I was discussing about them, the entire characters. And I said that even the Kung Fu Panda has a problem of poor self image, but how it has come out of it. The secret ingredient is in you, that you have to believe that you have that. So that was the dialogue. We were been talking to each other whenever we are seeing the secret ingredient is within you. So that gives a kind of connect between both of you. While you're watching on TV also, you can actually make use of it very fruitfully. So watch such a kind of movie, that's very essential. So moving on to this, what is the structure? This, all these are based on an kind of a common topic, but how can I structurally work on it? So for that, I would like to introduce in positive parenting, which actually Dr. Suresh Kumar, one of the presentation he presented in the webinar series, what we have been hosting for quite a long time. This positive parenting is a continual relationship of a parents and a child, or including caring, teaching, leading, communicating, and providing for the need of a child consistently and unconditionally. This two terms, consistently, unconditionally, is a very relative term. Consistently, actually, as an adult, we all go through a lot of stages of up and downs. We all know that it's practically, realistically, it is not possible every time to be like that. But there is relatively consistent we can actually formulate that is possible for all of us. That is what the parenting style, you must be aware of yourself first. You should not, they say that the researchers have shown, the psychological research have shown that it is better to be even an authoritarian parent who's a very strict parent, but don't have an inconsistent parenting style. It really confuse them. So it is better to be even in dictatorship, but it is not actually an inconsistency is not welcomed much because they get confused and it affects them, personally over the period of time. You all know that how the personality development has been, taken care in the childhood itself. That all the theories of what I said about psychosocial and other things, you all need to really look in that in that aspect. So if you look into this positive parenting, there are areas which you need to really look into. Is number one is providing, nurturing, caring, teaching, unconditional love, learning, and communicating. So all these are components of positive parenting. A person who is actually providing and support at home will have always feel that I am having something enough to give, isn't it? That kind of feeling you should actually make them feel and also believe and also into and practice. That gives them a kind of an conducive atmosphere, secured and safe feeling. That is very essential. The child, most of the child required a safe place to live. So that safety and security has to be really assured to them at any cost. So I could see that a lot of cases now about the domestic violence and abuse, child abuse cases have been increasing. That is actually being portrayed in media. We don't know the actual score of it or actual statistics of it. But when there is two or three newses also, it really disturbs us, isn't it? So we need to be, as an adult, we need to take care of the children's safety and security at home. Being in safe place, the home is a safe place. If that itself is threatening, it is a very great challenge for the child to live for their entire life. And then the nurturing is something, and it's not about nutrition, food for health alone. It is also for the mind, giving in good habits for them, physical fitness, and also about mental fitness, emotional regulation. And the parents are not having an unpredictable behavior and giving them a very good support system, and also providing they will know that if I go and approach my mother, she will say like this. They must have a surety and reliability on you. That kind of nurturing has to be there. And caring is, it's an obvious thing for the parents to be caring and taking care. It's not based on their achievements, it's not based on what they are, it is whatever it may be, at irrespective of their conditions. That is unconditional love. Irrespective of the conditions, you are loving them, you are caring them. Just because if they have done something wrong, you are not actually throwing them by words. So that is very essential. As parents, we need to really, so when we are doing that communication also, we should be very careful. I don't like you is a very bad communication. Rather, what you did is, what the behavior you did is not impressive. The behavior what you have really done is actually correct, has to be corrected. The behavior which you have done has really made me feel upset. That kind of communication need to be practiced by parents. And learning, and it is a very learning thing, ongoing learning, both of you. If you are a parent who is actually willing to learn and also willing to appreciate things around, appreciate the uniqueness of others, the child will also be like that. So it is very essential as a parent, we need to look into and on a whole that we are providing such a kind of learning atmosphere. Don't make the child what he should think. Rather ask, let him think, give them a space for thinking on his own, and kindle his creativity, curiosity, answer. If you don't know, it is fine, it is, you can actually bounce back to someone experts, or even Google is there for you to help you at any cost. So you can actually be in touch with that also. And unconditional positive love, that is, I am adding unconditional positive love. It is very essential for all of us. Love itself is very positive, but one thing is it should not be blind. You need to be firm as well as you need to be, you know, it's also a very important things. And warmth also, so show them in warmth and never mislead them because of your love. And unconditional is not because of you don't actually have parents doesn't have an expectation at all. You have a positive expectation about them, also communicate to them. So I am thinking of you like in big position. I want you to be an intelligent smart boy or a girl. That could be okay. I wanted to see you as an IAS officer. I wanted to make you to CEO as a doctor. That is your dreams. So make sure that they are having an high aspiration for education, educating them, learning, and spirit of knowing so many things, and learning the skills also to equip that, rather than making it is like a kind of, we say, don't give them fish, teach them fishing. So that's a kind of practice you as a parents have to do, really. So this is one of the very important thing I would like to make in uh, make in demonstration, that is positive presentation, I mean positive parenting, and which could be in two dimensions, could be an approach and as well as addressing the challenges in. The first one is about the approach, that is sensitizing, role modeling, monitoring, and nurturing. So we have been talking about what is positive parenting and how it is actually, what are the components involved in that. In the approach, it's sensitizing. The first one is the very important, as a parent you need to sensitize them. Sensitizing means educating them, giving them a platform to understand the concept, giving them the knowledge, nuances. If it is about COVID, making them understand how COVID is actually spreading across. What is the responsibility of all of us to do when COVID is being, spread across? As a citizen of India, what could we can do for it to prevent that? How we can actually safeguard ourselves, safeguard others, and safeguard actually our kith and kin and our society, our entire street, what kind of measures they've taken, what is the neighbor is taking care. So all these are sensitizing them about the COVID. You can actually give them an idea of how to hand wash, and all that video you can show them and be with them, and also do a demonstration also. That is very very essential. And also make them understand it is okay if you prevent, you can actually be very cool and stress free. It is only thing is you should maintain a social distance. You should wear a mask wherever you are going. Unnecessarily stepping out of the home is not required. And playing with the social distance, even at your own apartment, is essential. That kind of sensitizing is very essential for the kids. And kids are very, very innocent. They tend to go and approach people, hug people, touch others. So we need to sensitize them how important. And role modeling, this is a very essential part from parent side. And role modeling is something which we all actually practice at home. And if your child wants to be a very good great learner, a knowledgeable person, you read every time, you do a lot of work for your own knowledge upgradation in front of them. And also like for this COVID thing, you don't go out every time for purchasing, and don't follow the rules and follow everything what the government says, then you expect. So basically it is what you practice, you are preaching to them. And they should see you, actually they will start believing what they see. So if they started seeing you that you are doing everything right, then you earn the right to preach someone. So that is the thing, you have to really earn the right for asking anything. So that I really feel one of the very important aspect of us. Don't get angry like that the parent will shout at the boy. That itself shows that you are getting angry with the boy. So you have to really be in a cool pace and understand and listen, try to listen, and then say that how anger creates trouble in you physiologically, psychologically. By that process you also cool down yourself. So this role modeling is very very essential. All the time it is not possible, I agree with you. We cannot be like a saint, I know that. But it is possible if you are aware of this god given time of lockdown. This is going to be a very essential period for all of us to re-establish our bond and also correct our parenting style. In that case it is essential time for for all of us. So make use of it to whatever you have dreamt of so far, you have not done so far, you have not learned and course which you have been opting for, which is available in online. Learn in front of them. That becomes a role model for them. So that could be the one of the very essential part in that. And then the monitoring. So be aware of what they are doing. So even when they are at home, don't give them a separate places where they are not at all
So, ma'am,
yes.
ma'am, full screen they're asking, ma'am. Those are watching in YouTube, they
Yeah.
would like to, it's not visible. F5, ma'am. Click
Is
F.
it?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
clear.
It
Continue.
is now.
Yes, clear, ma'am. You can continue.
Yeah, so monitoring is very very essential because people are now using gadgets very much. I know the children are using a lot of apps and learning their exams and other things they are doing. Even schooling is through our mobile phone right now, but there are possibilities for all of them to get distraction also, getting into WhatsApp group or Instagram or whatever you call it, some TikTok or something really disturbing them, the games which the students are getting addicted now. I've seen in my college the first year students of UG, I mean the undergraduate students, they used to sit in the last row even during the seminars. Eh, they used to shout and shoot like that, right, left and all. I was wondering what is that they are doing. Once I saw that they all are playing PUBG game, that too in the college atmosphere, in a seminar situation. The last row they sit and do this game, and it is this because they are getting addicted to this game. They don't know how much screen hours they are going through, and this is a screen hours has to be monitored by parents. They have to really give them in this regulation every day 1 hour or 2 hour, or you can, because it is in pandemic period, most of the time they're at home, you give them 2 hours or 1.5 hours. You have to really strictly follow that. After that family time, you should be available for them to play or something or chat or do something along with them. Otherwise you cannot demand them. So monitoring is very essential. If the child or an adolescent is all the time getting inside the room and playing or doing something, you have to really check about that. It is not about not trusting your kid. It is all about that it's an age they may get distracted. So you have to be really, careful. So Mr. Suresh has given an online safety measures also for children, which was actually an eye-opening session even for me. I don't know about those things. So in that case, and how a child will know about the security and other things, they may be casually sharing all the information. They may see one of the children have shared all the details of their parents and they got into a trouble because of that. So we need to really monitor that. It's very very essential. And nurturing, in the situation of nurturing, you all know that how you are giving a nourishment for the emotions and also for the brain. If it is something on a game or even a kind of a part of reading or sharing knowledge, that becomes a brain activity. But it is also kind of in moments, it is also kind of an no yesterday we had a laughter yoga session. That was fantastic, family time and having a laughter yoga. There are a lot of movements, a lot of exercise, and also releasing stress, and also a kind of relationship building that has so many structures in that. So I was really enjoying what a kind of exercise we all can practice. If you really throw inhibition, we can do that also. So the other one is about the addressing challenges and is about the behavior, emotions, and cognitions. So most of the children get in this during this pandemic period. We used to get a lot of call for counseling helpline in our college, Madras School of Social Work. They always get in kind of in thought that is I'm getting in thought that is disturbing me always. Ma'am, could you please help me? So I'm feeling that I'll get injured and or I will get infected because of pandemic. I will die soon. If I come to know about somebody is dying somewhere in the news channel, I'm getting kind of a thought that I will also get into this kind of pandemic. And I don't know, I may get COVID or all this. They have been talking to me, and I could see that a lot of depression rates have been increasing. Initially, there were a lot of anxiety cases reported, and now it has come down. So the people are getting accustomed to that or adjusting, and they're also able to find their own coping skills right now. And the behavioral actions, because of that, it is very new and anxiety is more. the situation throws a lot of behavioral changes. They may be very, erratic. They may not be, consistent. They may not be kind of unpredictable behavior. All that may be there, and emotions like feeling how they are going through. They may not be with adolescents. I really have an adolescent boy at home. I couldn't even trace out what is his emotions, because he used to keep, I don't know, I'm thinking, I'm doing this. Kind of, you don't even share his feelings, such a kind of, mask they all have. So it is very difficult, that what the child is thinking, processing, and as well as feeling. We need to really look into that scenario. We as a parent, it is a very essential, part, and as a parent, we need to really help them to overcome this scenario. And positive parenting has very important responsibilities, which can be in do's and don'ts. I can explain you. As a do's, we all know that respecting the child or an adolescent at home within 15 years or 14 years or even 3 years, the child as an individual, we need to really respect. Most of the time parents belittle them, because their age is very less. Even at the age of 3, even at the age of 15, whatever the child knows, at your age of 15 you would have definitely would have not, because the kind of exposure they all go through now. So we need to really accept that and respect their views. It is very, very essential. Even they talk something dumb, don't discourage them. Don't be a very critical parent, and ask them to explain why they are saying so. What is that making them to feel so? All that is very essential to kindle their interest and curiosity to know further, rather than cutting, shutting their interest on knowing something new. So respecting each one is very essential. If you respect them, they will also respect, and respecting others at family. And you as a parent, and for especially within the outlook of Indian to Tamil Nadu, I could see that a lot of parent call their spouse very, very casually addressing them, not respecting them in front of the children. This may really create a kind of a bad, image. The gendering aspect, we actually bring this gender aspect right from the childhood. We need to really be very careful. When they are growing, it is not going to be like that. The situation is going to be an equal opportunity for both genders, and in that case, they need to be really groomed with such a kind of outlook. So the respect for each gender at home and respecting the others, elders, it is very essential. So the same situation may come. There was one old movie of Sivaji Ganeshan, I don't remember the name of it, but he'd say that you may have to take care of this bowl because your children may give it to you when you grow old. That was a fantastic eye-opening movie, I should say that. Elderly people has to be taken care at home with the respect, because they are watching you very closely. They will also follow the same footsteps of yours, because you have been practicing them to be like this. So we have to be very careful in that aspect of respecting each other at home, respecting the relationship, respecting even the servant at home. It is very essential, because I'm using even because of the the term. Not, I am not degrading them. The very important thing is respect as a human being has to be nurtured in them, and then emphasize relationship. It is when it comes to material, how important it's relationship. You need to really make them understand, because at the cost of phone, they may not actually look into the person. So if you really wanted to go out with me, or you wanted to play at home with phone, they will opt for phone and playing at home. Then don't give such a kind of options at all. The relationships are very, very important, and building up the relationship, this is the, uh, really a great period for all of us. So this is a greater vacation, a long vacation, with a lot of chances to stay within home, and a lot of possibilities for all of us to look in with so much of positivity, because the entire the situation pandemic COVID-19 itself has given a lot of insights for all of us. Thinking enough, feeling enough, having enough, and also working on with what is the available resources, being very optimally connected to people with whatever the chances we have, helping each other without any boundaries, and sharing money, sharing things, sharing materials along with others. This COVID itself has given a lot of insights for all of us. This is a very essential period for all of us to make use of it, to make our next generation to be very, very fruitful and positive people around. And I think teaching communication skills, being an elderly, it's our it's our responsibility to communicate properly, be very, very clear to them. And also it is, they also say that in there is one of the video I was watching about this Ranganathan. He's a coach for I don't remember the something on thoughts. It talks about how important in communication to prepare the person and then deliver it. So most of the communication, he says that you are preparing the soil, and then if you just throw the seed, it grows. You need not actually uh, uh, plant it. Actually, you will need to just throw it. So preparing the person for listening itself is the art. That if you are able to do that, you are able to do the entire communication fruitfully. So that kind of an practice, if you really inculcate with the children and adolescent, it is becoming a very, very great possibility for all of us to communicate what is required, what is necessary, being very sensible in communication, sensitive to others emotions. All these are very essential. And communication within clarity of what the receiver really want from us, and what is that you need to really give them a message. When it comes to an COVID or a situation at home or a situation, there are a lot of misunderstanding takes place because there is no open communication. We take them granted. You, as if you don't know that I am your husband for a quite long time, as if you don't know, they will ask, such a kind of questions are not necessary, because it is very essential to be very open right now, because all are preoccupied with their own stress. It is not that you alone, because of you are a breadwinner. It is also about the spouse is going through. She is a person with a shared responsibility at home. She is also feeling the same. She is also going through the same kind of stress. So open communication is very essential for between spouse and as well as with the children. And certain things, if it is going to bother somebody, it is better to avoid right now, or talk it in the terms and very assertively, expressing your own feelings, not hurting the other person. So that is very essential communication style you need to practice at home. And nurturing positive traits, which I feel that is a beautiful period for all of us, that to look into positivity all around. Looking at the sun, because vitamin D we're getting it. The person who said that I have been paid without paying, enjoying oxygen for a quite long years, 90 years. I am so far I have not paid for oxygen. Now this pandemic and COVID-19 has made me to pay for even oxygen. What an person! I'm so I'm so grateful to God that I have been provided oxygen. So that is a kind of thinking about everything around. I'm having a shelter and I'm having a very secure feeling. I have a family along with me. I have a beautiful support system. I'm having a laptop and talking to you in front of you. That kind of positivity is very essential. Appreciating each other's trait every day. Pick up at least two or three as a parent, as an adult, even with your spouse or with the children, whatever they are doing, you are coping very well. You are doing very well in spite of the you are not attending in the classroom. You are able to finish your assignments even without anybody is monitoring. You seems to be very, very neat in writing and doing your work. You are very, very you are looking very cute, sweet, something which is very appropriate, not actually inflating their esteem, just being a very genuine friend. You can actually be with them. If you're able to be a friend with them, doing all this with respect to this period, definitely you can see a positive shift in their parent adolescent or parent child relationship. I can assure you as a psychologist. I can assure you as a parent also, because I am also in the trying period. And don'ts, what could be the don'ts? Don't punish them, verbally abuse them, control them. Usually you tell that, you tell all this as a psychologist. But sometimes you need to really be aware of this particular situation. You need to be the extra, punishing a person. Already he is under distress, or some stressful situation is going in his mind. And on an on an above, you are punishing them, creates a kind of negative vibration, which is not actually going to help them. And also verbal abuse. They are very, very confused. Sometimes they are very positive, sometimes you seems to be verbally abusing them, which they couldn't take it, because they don't want it to be kind of, sugar coated medicines. They really want to be very, very clear. So open communication, even if you really want to scold someone, you are angry with them, you can openly say that I'm really angry because of your behavior, rather than scolding them with a stupid or idiot kind of words. So that is better to, avoid such a kind of verbal abuses. And then control. So we always, most of the adults takes and kind of, lead over other person. You say that because you are elderly, because you are a parent, you have all the right to ride on them. That is not so. Actually, you don't have any control over them. They are coming through you, I don't deny that, but you don't have a control over them. So that we need to really respect their space and really treat them as an individual. So this controlling gives them a kind of a pressure on them. They feel that if you don't sit like that, you don't do like that, don't talk like that, that really creates some and have a kind of, I don't feel free at my own home. That kind of an, feel they all get it. If they get such a kind of feeling, it is really troubling them to be very open, to be very free with you. If you don't lay the platform to be a free person at home itself, how are they going to face the challenges outside at home? How they are going to be very open, how they are going to be very, very friendly with other person, where we are going to talk about personality development at their 40 years and 50 years, which is not going to be a very easy job for all of us as a professionals to train them, because they have been nurtured and they have been conditioned all their childhood like this. It's very, very very, very troublesome when you look into this category. So look into the holistic parenting, positive parenting dimension, safety, care, and intellectual stimulation, and control, that is in feel of and monitoring, all should be equally taken care as a parent. That is very, very essential for all of us, because they are not getting into the job right now. So even the youngsters are feeling the same kind of feeling. And adults are having even more dreadful situation, because there are a lot of things they need to really answer, their responsibility for the home, family, their office, and also financial question for the future, for the children's growth, and education and higher education. All that is a big questions going on. And elderly, they feel they are burdened, and they feel they have been useless in this. They are feeling already helpless at home, and they're feeling because of this they actually spread a lot of negativity among others. So we need to be really as an active young adult, or even an adolescent, or even an adult. We need to really look into all the aspects, and all of them need to be nurtured and taken care. Everyone talk about the right. There is another side. We need to really take care of the rights and responsibility of all of them as an adult at home. So finally, I would like to give you, there is no threat for all of us, because we have been in India, most of the families are very much interested to be an really great parent. They all wanted to be told by others that parents are beautiful parents. They have grown up the children with a great responsibility. They are the role model. So they really work hard for that. They don't actually, being in collectivistic society, India really, really value the parenthood, and that is actually a boom for all of us. We really need to really look this pandemic period within positive note. The positive parenting, explore your own style is very important, in parenting. What kind of parenting style? So this is a time for you. It's a period for you to explore your own self as a parent also. Check with your kids and validate their proper and validate their emotions, validate their behavior, proper behavior, positive behavior. That's very essential. And let your self-esteem be the role model for them, and it should not be imposed on them. You cannot actually increase like a volume button in their self. You need to really give them a time for processing and help them to grow as a person with a good self-esteem or a positive self-esteem. You be within self-esteem, high self-esteem, then it becomes an nurturing environment for them also to take forward. Talk less, listen much, and also discuss and decide like a team in the family. Don't just give instructions, also listen to them. What could be the better one? What kind of decision is going to be better for our family? How much we can actually look into? So you will never know that the children will give a best kind of perspectives when you are discussing with them. You never knew that what kind of taste they all have, because you are very limited with your knowledge. They know more than you, because they are always in Google. So you have to really trust them and give them some responsibility in that case. They come through you, not under your control. You are not the boss. I already told you that about. And accept the difference and appreciate their no appreciate whatever they are, whatever they are, irrespective. Don't compare the children at home that so the see, look at the big one, how he is responsible, how much he is achieving, how much marks he is gaining, how good he is behaving at home, and look at you, why are you doing so. This comparison really make them feel very appreciate the uniqueness of each kid at home. That is very essential. Even your spouse, the difference between you and your spouse is very essential. Actually speaking, psychologists say that you cannot tolerate your others, so you cannot tolerate so many people like you. Can you live with all the participants are like you? It is going to be the same. It will be boring. Actually, you won't actually have a uniqueness. So it is better to have a uniqueness and appreciate that uniqueness. You are a hero. You are a hero unconsciously if you really do unfair parenting. That's very important. You need not tell them that I am a hero. They will definitely take you as a role model. Health, regulation, and also moral, if you practice, they will also do that. So you take care of yourself, and they will you be your legacy. That is very sure. There are a lot of people who have said that because of my parent I am like this, because of my parent I am standing in front of you, because they have lived their life with the kind of regulation in their life. They expect beyond their age. I have seen that a lot of parents are highly mature. I don't know. They have not laid down the platform or in foundation for the kids, but they want them to be matured. Because of this, no, the prematured adults never feel happy for themselves, because they don't actually mingle well with their peer groups. They feel they're lacking very badly. So we need to really allow them to live their life age appropriately. Don't feed too much. Over information is overloaded. Information is actually not at all good for them. And listen, verify, monitor, but set boundaries. Very essential. Time limit, or monitoring them, and also giving them a space which they can actually enter. This is not your time. This is my bedtime. This is my personal time. This is my professional time. This is our family time. You are supposed to come. So this kind of boundaries need to be set for adolescents or even for children, because they should not get confused. When my mama will do like this, when my father will react like this, there should be always a response from your side, not a reaction. So that is very essential as a parent, I feel. And a common shared interest, play with them, chat with them. Some common interest, you all can pick it up. So even an andakshri at home really brings kind of an cohesion at home. So find a what play is really interesting for all of us. Play that, invent, and it could be possible time for all of us to create a great atmosphere, a conducive learning atmosphere to help each other in the family. And I'm in the I've done with my presentation. Is there any questions or anything? I'm ready to answer. Thank you so much for the opportunity given by the Alagappa University and as well as American College.
Thank you, ma'am, for the amazing presentation. Amazing presentation.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, ma'am. I think this is going to be the parents' handbook or something for handling the children. You have done justice to the topic, mental health of children. It's really a wonderful presentation. I'm going to save this presentation for my future. Thank you so much. So participants, please click the raise hand options to ask questions. Like we will have 3 or 4 questions and we will wind up the session.
I'm not able to see the participant. Is it because that is not shared? I mean,
ma'am, I shared your screen, ma'am, for a few minutes.
Okay.
For question and answer.
Okay.
Okay. I will call upon Bhuvanesh Kumar for asking the question now. Please unmute yourself, sir. Bhuvanesh Kumar.
Yeah. Hello, this is Bonish. Uh,
Yeah.
actually, ma'am, my friend is suffering from kind of a critical situation. Like his son, he's like 11 years old. He he is unable to socialize among the uh, socialize among the same age group.
Okay.
He always tends to have contact and being in fond of with the adult people,
Okay.
like the age of his parent. So,
Okay.
what would you suggest to make that boy to socialize with his friends of his same age group?
Okay. So thank you for the wonderful question. I should really, thank you first. Uh, Most of the parents, who is actually responsible for this? Who is responsible? Most of the time we say that the children are not moving with that, children are not doing this, children are actually doing like this. Children tend to actually play with their peer group only. They really love to be with their peer, really wanted to relate with their age group only. And they really like people who, even an adult who's melding down to their age and play. You can see that adult who's able to, talk and relate with the child at their age level, they will be very fond of and they will play very well. But it's a responsibility of the parent over here, and making them involved like an treating them like an adult, and a lot of adult communication at home, not letting the child to be a child at home, and also creating an making taking them towards all their friends home, and making them to involve in their conversations. All this make them to be little premature adult. So I think this is the responsibility of the parent, but it is possible for all of us to help them also. See, the child has to be intervened. Probably the child has to be taken care by one of like a relationship specialist, like myself or Suresh Kumar, even a psychologist. We can talk to them. We can make them understand that how important to be regarded at their own age group, because their self-esteem is not based on the adults validation. It is all about their we call it myself, and validation of my friends is self-esteem, the estimation. In that case, their the others estimation, their own friends, if they don't regard, if they don't connect to each other, it becomes a very very great pathetic feel inside for them, that I am not loved by my own friends and peers. So we need to really correct it at the right time. I think it is a time for all of us to rethink about it. So it is fine to be with an adult, but don't indulge so much of adult kind of communication with the children. It's not necessary for them. Let them be child. Let them grow on their own pace. Don't actually force them to be adult at the age of small. So I think you need to really look into, if it is a very serious, if he is very very uncomfortable over that, then let him look into any kind of specialist like us. And also it is possible to make him a mingle, teaching him social skills, how you can relate with your own age group, small activities, bringing them together, appreciating others in their age group, melding down to their level, and talking how it is important to appreciate each other's interest, common interest, shared interest, playing with them. All these could be possible small tips for them to bring into the age group. Hope I answered you.
Thank you for the wonderful answer, ma'am. Yes, next participant, Palvi.
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
Thank you for the wonderful session.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I would like to ask you that during this period of lockdown, this usually happens that the parents, either it is mother or father, they get frustrated and they target the child, and this leads to confusion in the child that why are they throwing anger on me. Like, usually this happens at our home, especially in Indian societies. This happens. So how can we avoid this sort of confusion, or how can we overcome this kind of confusion in children?
You fantastically answered also the question. See, the very important thing is the parents are responsible for this, because who's
Hmm.
great, who's angry with the child, who's not at all actually involved in the picture. The parents
Hmm.
seems to have a displacement of anger. I have frustration or something, an unsettlement with my spouse. It should not be carried to my child. And I have an unsettlement with my boss. It should not be carried to my spouse or my children. It is something called a displacement of anger, which for the other person is not at all responsible.
Yeah.
We need to really fix the responsibility. Who am I actually angry with? Is that I am responsible for that particular issue. If I'm responsible holding that issue on my shoulder rather than forcing on somebody's shoulder. Very simple, you have to be self-disciplined, nothing else. The person has to take responsibility for their own actions. You should not react. And frustration is something which has been piled up for us so many times. I mean, you have not been it's common to experience negative emotions, nothing wrong in it, but you should know how to constructively convey to the other person. If the boss is troubling you, if you could not voice over, and you see somebody else who is less than you, power hustles, you say, no, so you tend to play on them. So that is an it is an injustice you are doing for the person who is actually vulnerable. So if you start realizing that, people won't actually blame the other person.
Okay,
So,
I would like to ask one more question,
yes,
which
Pallavi.
is how can we control OCD behavior, like so OC behavior in kids, especially if you have some elder person in your family who is having OCD, especially in this period of COVID, like when you have to wash your hands again and again, you have to uh, take precautions, and having a person with OCD at your home, and then kids are also all the time with that person. How can you avoid them being them copying the behavior?
Very, very good question. Valid question right now. See, once I think hope that person whom you are referring at home, adult, is been clinically diagnosed to OCD. Okay, point number
Yeah.
one. And number two is, if it is clinically diagnosed to OCD, you have to really create an awareness at home among even children and those who are living around. This is something which is not, it isn't kind of an disorder which they are undergoing. They are in treatment, they are in trouble, they are not, it is not a normal behavior. They should understand. Creating an insight is very essential for them. Okay, psychoeducation we call it. Educate the people around. Even a smallest child must know that what is that they are doing. It is not normal. Think about, see me, see other person at home, and the other neighbors and your own friends. Is that all of them are doing like this? Make them understand. Psychoeducation is very essential. Point number one. Point number two is, you have to really give them the child. Now at the pandemic period, even you say, tend to seems to be an OCD. When you go out, you come and wash your hands, you wash your clothes, wash yourself, and all these are very essential, because it is a kind of a period itself is creating such a kind of an alarm for all of us. So tell them, differentiate. How I am telling you right now, you're able to convince, because you tend to know that the difference between the period pandemic we are living in and the kind of abnormal behavior the person is holding because of the disease. So which you need to really help them understand. Then they will know that there is a difference between these two, and they will also understand, I hold a responsibility right now. I should not be a carrier, so I am actually washing my hand right now. But it is not that I will become an OCD patient like my so and so at home. So that is a clear picture you need to give them. That's all. You require a lot of patience, care, affection. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you for the
Pallavi.
wonderful explanation, ma'am. Thank you,
Yeah.
Palvi. Next question will be from Bhuvaneshwari G. Ma'am, Bhuvaneshwari, ma'am.
Next,
Hello.
next.
Good evening. Can you hear me, madam?
Yes.
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear you.
yes, Bhuvaneshwari, please.
Yeah, madam. Good evening.
Good evening.
Very good explanation about the current scenario, and also you have given some tips how to spend time in meaningful way. And my doubt is, during this COVID-19, children are habituated to being with mobile phone.
Yeah.
and there is no physical activity. Does the scenario influence in their academic performance after the school reopen?
Oh, that is a $1 million question. We all have to really take a session on that. But still, it is our duty to explain. So, physical activity will be curtailed is actually, I don't agree with that. Is it all the adults at home are doing physical activity regularly at home? Then the child will follow. If you have been sitting and watching only movie or laptop, your work, and then mobile, and you don't actually move around, then they are learning the same from the parents. Number one. Number two is, I really feel that the children can be taught physical activity, fitness, and other things. They will love to be, involved in exercises, play, or dance or something. You all can have an, I also referred yesterday, we all had a laughter yoga session. That was fantastic. It is also moving around and also laughing around and connecting each one. So you can create such a kind of opportunity at home to be with them and also dance with them, also play with them. Maybe take your terrace, take them to the terrace, play something which you can all can run around and do something. So, or even in dance with the music, or even if you feel inhibit to dance in front of them, it is fine, just move or do some exercise or yoga. That's fantastic. And the other one is all about this condition will continue after the lockdown. If they have been bored because of the Zoom classes, if you are an excellent teacher who can relate very well, who can validate the emotions and social skills of the children, and definitely you will pull them and hook them after the lockdown.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And we will have one last question from the participants. Trishna Daria. Are you there? Trishna?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Yes.
So, ma'am, I am basically an aspiring teacher. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, aspiring teacher.
Yes, ma'am. So, basically, when we are taking online sessions right now, to be honest, there are a lot of children who go through a lot of mental issues. They are not able to cope up with it after having 15 years of education in face to face. Now, when it becomes very difficult to actually cope up. So, what can be done to have more effectivity towards the learning?
Yeah, fantastic question. I agree with partially with you because the face-to-face connection and social connection, the kind of the other non-verbal communications, most of them are curtailed when you are being connecting through online. I agree with you, but you have been relating to me with Zoom right now. Am I not connecting to you so far?
No, ma'am, not in that sense.
No. The question is, I really want to throw some light. You need to prepare the child to come to that kind of conducive atmosphere. For example, I told you communication is all about preparing the mind for 60%. Then the rest of the delivery is in your hand. Okay, give them some activity in the front and make them involved in some kind of a quiz in the beginning, and make them to be part of this particular thing, or some creative techniques you use it initially to bring their attention first, then get involved the online thing. And after you are getting into the real time teaching, I think this mode will help them to understand the importance of being face to face. So that kind of atmosphere you should actually create, prepare them right now. So if you ask me ready-made answers, I don't have, because we are all are in the trying period as a teacher. It is a very new atmosphere for all of us, because we have been thrown into a situation we cannot actually take other chance of being one to one or face to face. So this is a scenario we need to adapt, but let's do it very gracefully and also with a lot of passion in it, so that people won't get dejected because of this.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Trishna,
Ma'am,
for your wonderful question.
yeah, there are a few questions from YouTube Live.
Yeah.
I have received from the Sujata ma'am. One is from Dr. Ramakrishna. What he asking, ma'am? What is the appropriate parenting style for children with special needs? What is the appropriate parenting style for children with special needs?
See, any child, in that case. If you started categorizing special needs, if you can, itself it shows that you are seeking kind of a different identity. Don't do that. All children are same. They are born with little disability or something. It doesn't mean they need to be categorized. Like, children are children. You are a parent with an care, affection, and loving person with responsibility. That's all I will say. There is no fixed thing. Positive parenting is for everyone. It is not about disability alone. It is not about normal children. Everyone is equal. I should say democratic positive parenting is very, very essential for all the children. Please don't categorize them.
Ma'am, there is one more question from that Priyanka Paul.
Yes.
She asked a question that she is having a 20 months old child. The child want to go out from the home, but due to lockdown and then corona sensitiveness, they are not allowing the child. But how we can manage the children?
20 months old child is a very small baby, I should say, that would like to go and see the world around. That's very, very natural. So we have to really understand that, and also appreciate the child really want to go out, don't want it to be locked down. And we should really take them to the terrace, show them birds, show them know so many things around, and play with them little. And also by story we can say a small hooked up story about the situation, what is going on. The entire scenario could be a small story for them, making them understand being a safe place is essential for now, and how safety is essential for them. By throwing light through and storytelling will help them to understand the scenario. That is my view. It may differ also. Suresh, if you want, you can add on.
Max, actually, it is a lengthy topic. It is a valuable question also. Definitely, it is very difficult as a parent. They have to manage the children with 20 months old. Even for 3 years old children, they won't play in a single place. I'm a parent of a 4-year-old and then 9-year-old children. The reason for I moved to my native place, my native is a village. The reason for move to my native place is only because their children want to play. That is the reason. We have to find out some alternative.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me, Suresh.
Ma'am, there is one more question. The final question we will take it, ma'am. It is from Mr. Srinivasan. Srinivasan is.
Yes, please.
Srinivasan said that his mother and 2 children are most of the time they are spending time with only mobile phones. Even they are not interacting with the family members. So it is a problem among most of the families right now. What we can suggest to the family?
So first the mother need to be understood that. So you need to talk over why screen time is essential, how it is going to impact the children. So there should be a curfew, like a curfew time for your digital screen. There should be a time where you can actually have a lockdown even for your screen. So keep that mobile this many hours and lockdown for the other hours. This should be followed by everyone at home firmly for some time, at least for 20 days. If you practice, all will get used to that. And because of they are not engaged in something positively, only they are getting into this mobile addiction. So you need to engage them positively, give them a kind of, so people seek attention when they are not given naturally like that. If you don't actually address their need at the right time, they get indulged into something else. We need to take care of that.
Ma'am, I would like to add one technical explanation to them. What they can do, there is a parental security application, sir. One of the applications will enable you to spend only 2 hours in your mobile phone. Even if you try anything, it will not allow you to use your mobile phone. So we can try those applications, and I will share that link in that WhatsApp group. It is on the WhatsApp group created by Sujata Malini ma'am. I will share it with them. Ma'am will share in the WhatsApp group. You can, as a parent, you can use it, and you can monitor what your children are watching in the online also. So you can, 2 ways you can use that.
Yeah, one more technique is the behavioral modification technique, like not shutting down the entire opportunity, slowly, gradually reducing the exposure time for the mobile. That could be possibly done because they are not feeling the threat on them. Hope things settle. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you, and I appreciate the fact that you took time to answer every questions, not rushing up. It really helped the participants to understand what you're saying, and it was really helpful for me also personally. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I invite Dr. Suresh Kumar sir and Dr. Sujata Malini ma'am for giving the feedback and vote of thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Suresh Kumar, sir, you can say first.
Ma'am, thank you, ma'am, for the great opportunity. It is again one of the fantabulous session by you. Today we had two sessions. One is about learned helplessness from that Olesya Volkova from Russia. Professor given a talk on 1 hour, and then most of you given the questions, and she's answered also. Now the second session is on 1.5 hours. 1 hour and 30 minutes for discussion. It is on. It shows that quality interaction in this session, and each questions were addressed promptly. For that, thank you, ma'am. And the points which you were shared here are more valuable for the parents. They can take it and they can practice for their better mental health of the children. Thank you so much, ma'am, for amazing session, ma'am. Sujata, ma'am, you can.
Dr. Subasree, ma'am, it was a very wonderful presentation. Your PPT was very attractive and very powerful point. I'm so happy, and it has given a lot of information to all the parents and professionals who are here in this webinar. I'm sure they have learned a lot of things from your presentation, ma'am. It shows your in-depth knowledge and your well-versed psychological counseling in the process of mental health of children. I'm sure that participants have gained a lot, and you have also taken all the questions from the participants in a very positive way, and you have also answered in a very right way. And it shows that you're very approachable and a very kind person, so that all the participants can clear their doubts. And I also, there are still more questions coming on. I think you have also shared your contacts, and so that they can communicate and they can contact you and they can clarify their doubts. At the outset, I feel immense pleasure to record my sincere gratitude for being with us and sharing your knowledge for the benefit of children's mental health. So I'm so happy, and on behalf of the Department of Special Education and Rehabilitation Science of Alagappa University, I also take opportunity to thank Suresh sir and the MC of Akshaya and Ananya for being with us, for conducting this two wonderful session in a very nice manner. Thank you once again. I thank all the participants who are here for their patient hearing and listening and asking and interacting with speakers. Thank you one and all. And I am so happy to say that tomorrow we have two more sessions. So I welcome all participants to join with us.
Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much for Suresh and also Alagappa University, American College, Madurai, for creating such a learning platform for all of the parents over here. And I wish an positive parenting ahead. And all of you, if you take the message and also practice, that will be the success of this seminar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.